Well, we were all really surprised, to be honest, because we didn't find out that we were 11 of 650 until the end of the assessment day. So we'd all sort of thought, why aren't there more of us when we arrived? And it ended up just being the 4 French people for that day, and then they did 2 others for the other languages. And yeah, at the end of the day they just told us, and I think everyone was pretty pleased, but it was more just kind of, oh, cool. Yeah. The school secretary send us around an email, which was what all of the other candidates said they'd done as well, and I just had a look on the website to see what the process was like, and it was just really clear, just like a simple sort of CV style and then a few questions, and then they sent you the tests through as you completed them, so it wasn't all coming at you at once. So yeah, I just thought, well, it's final year, it's a good time to do something like that, so yeah, just in between studying, just thought I'd give it a go. Well, there were questions from the sponsor, so that was EU Careers for us, and they were asking us about why is it important to learn languages and that sort of thing, sort of gauging your interest into European relations, I think. And then we had tests about what you would do in the workplace, so how you'd handle difficult situations, which was done with this weird video simulation, like The Sims or something, which is really funny. And then there was a personality survey, which just went on forever. And then there were loads of logic questions at the end, which were really hard, sort of finding the next sequence in a pattern sort of thing. Yeah, so it was pretty gruelling online, and then on the day it sort of was even harder. We had a group project, and each of us were representing a different council in the EU, and we had to argue a case for a fictional country about why we should give the funds or not to this country, followed by a one-on-one interview about sort of competencies, and then a presentation at the end, which sounds fine, but they basically gave us 100 pages of French and 20 minutes to turn that into a presentation. So it was really, really challenging, but everyone was just so supportive, which I was really surprised about, so it made it a lot easier in that sense, that everyone was giving each other tips and saying good luck, which was really lovely. And at the end of it they told us that's how they recruit for governmental positions, but they would do it all in English, so we'd had to do that in French. So it's quite full on, basically. But no, it was really good. It was a good challenge for the day. I slept well that night. I've learnt that it's just really good to put yourself forward for things like that, because it's something you can very easily read and just go, oh no, I've got work to do, or I can't be bothered. But at the end of the day I do have this extra little nugget to put on my CV, which is always handy, especially in the economic climate. And also just purely from the people that I met there, to be honest, everyone was so nice, and it was really good to see them again at the ceremony a couple of weeks later, and we've all stayed in touch. We're all on Twitter and Facebook and like posting each other's photos from the day, so yeah, it was just really cool. I've actually got a couple of new friends from the experience, which is the best you can hope for, really, isn't it? So yeah, it was really good. Well, to be honest, I did come to Cardiff Uni studying just English literature. I think in my head I decided that was the more academic thing to do when I was 17 and you have to make all these big life decisions. But the beauty of Cardiff Uni is that you can continue with a language in your first year if you're doing humanities, which was amazing because I realised how much I loved French and how well it complemented the reading side of my degree. I had something more hands-on and using language, which I've come to really, really love. And yeah, I ended up switching to a joint honours, and it's just the best thing I've ever done because I've had my Erasmus year, and honestly one of the most supportive networks I think that I've experienced at Cardiff University. There's just a real open-mindedness where you've got all these different cultures together, I think, and especially after third year when everyone's been abroad, there's just this it's like a reinvigorated energy when you come back and everyone's sharing experiences and everyone's talking about their next travel plans. So I couldn't recommend Languages enough because it really opens those doors and makes you think outside the box a bit about your future. I suppose connecting with it well helps. It was one of my stronger points, and maths and science kind of were on the other end for me. And it's also just been quite natural in my family. Like my dad studied French and German, so he's fluent in both and used them in his job all the time. And when we'd go on holiday to France, he'd always be sort of reeling off his French in the shops and everything, and I think we all just thought, oh, that's so cool, he's so clever. And you just see this different kind of interaction which is totally alien when you're that age, but it's something that's obviously stuck with me because I thought, well, how great that he can talk to all these people and I can just stand here mute. So I think it really helps having that influence from a young age and seeing languages being put into practice. And he's got such amazing friends in France, and you just think, well, I want to have friends in different countries too. So yeah, I think that's why. Well, I am taking summer off because it's final year and I could do with sleeping for a while. So I'm going to do a bit of travelling in Central Europe, and then in 2015 I've been accepted for the MA in Literary Translation at the UEA in Norwich. So it's just great because it's going to combine both of my skill sets, English literature and French, in a really specialised subject, which I think, I mean, by the sounds of things today, the best thing you can do is specialise in one area and just market yourself in that way. And it's something that, you know, I realised once I leave university, I won't be translating anymore, I won't be working with language anymore, and I just sort of thought, well, why do I have to stop doing that if it's something that I really love? So yeah, I had some really good advice from Christina Marinetti, I think, here, and yeah, she looked into all the courses for me and found this one course in the UK that's purely literature, and it's just perfect. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that's where I'll be in a few years' time, sort of translating books from French to English and sort of communicating that way through different cultures.